That's no moon.
Hello there, and I'm Cockles, and this is the first of our That's No Moon, a hobby talk, title to be completely decided as time goes on. For our first one, I thought, I know, who should I talk to? Someone who's when I played them, their minis blew my mind. And when I went to Germany, I was like, wow, because this guy had some stats, and his stats had the little rocks and they're up and pointy bits and things, and it was amazing, and it blew my mind. As did the game, because the game went down to a really tight game. It was really good fun at the same time. I still lost, but it doesn't matter. It was the fun and taking part.
He was still drunk.
I was still drunk from the night before. You're not. It could be thing, but it's all part of the fun when you go away for a little holiday. So I'm joined by Kilian Jung. Kilian, please
Hey
tell
guys.
me I've pronounced your surname correctly as well.
It's all right. I've had
Good.
worse.
You've had worse. That's fine, because I assure someone gone Jung or something like that.
Yeah.
That's all right then. See, knew a little bit. That's fine. Kilian, tell us a little bit about yourself. What in over here we have a celebrity called Cilla Black. What's your name and where do you come from? Tell us a bit about yourself.
I'm living in, let's say, the south middle of Germany, about an hour south of Frankfurt.
Yep.
I've joined the Legion community when actually Clone Wars came out, so that was late 2018.
You're a late bloomer. You're a late bloomer.
Yeah, exactly. So I actually joined when the minis got better, so the quality of the minis.
That sounds about right.
And yeah, since then I've been playing a lot. Went to Worlds this March. Won a couple of prizes for my painting.
And, just a couple, just nothing major. So that's good. So you've said you played for a few years at Legion. Then do you play any other games as well?
I started Shatterpoint.
Yes, actually, yes, I have seen your stuff on there as well. And because it's early doors into Shatterpoint, have you actually played a bit yet, or just painted mainly?
Yeah, so I've got like, I don't know, maybe 8 to 10 games in. Nice. So I got it actually a month earlier to do some promotional stuff and to get everything set up.
Are you allowed to tell us this information?
Yeah, I'm allowed. So if you look over my shoulder here, there's like a board which is like currently standing up this way because it's too big to fit in my room.
Yeah.
So I'm building like a complete scenic table for Shatterpoint.
I've seen a couple of pictures on Facebook for some of the ones a vertical project you're doing, which we'll probably touch on a bit later. But I suppose the big question is: are you a painter first, or are you a gamer first? Which, if you had to choose, and you couldn't do one, you can only do one more than the other. What would you choose?
Painter first.
Oh, see, that's why we get you on first, because that's the correct answer for this thing. I'm not. So for me, it's a new thing to do. So I'm trying to build a table. I've started. It's an interesting concept. I mean, I've got some of this stuff ready for later that I'm going to try and do some things. It's just all it's a new experience for me, and I've never been artistically creative anyway. So this is it's something interesting for me to explore in my brain. So there we go. That's all good. We'll go back. How long have you been painting models then?
A tricky question. So I've started back in the day when I was, I think, like 16. So I got into Warhammer Fantasy back in the day. But I only like painted, I don't know, 2 models, something like this. And then I just had other preferences.
Yep.
And then I caught back up when Imperial Assault was gifted to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I really liked that game. And I was always like really into miniature painting. But I didn't have the time nor the people to play a bigger game with. So Imperial Assault was the perfect fit. And then I also started attending workshops and stuff like that, and got into Warhammer Underworlds for quite some time because they were like the perfect segue game, you know, little warbands, not too many miniatures, not too many stuff to paint. And yeah, then when Legion actually hit, I was like, okay, I'm gonna dive in here full now, give it my best, and try to learn everything and attend more workshops and basically get better in the progress. And I'm like always a very creative person when it comes to figuring out paint schemes and stuff like that. And I feel like Legion is always like sticking to its history and to the canon. So I'm always looking to widen people horizons when it comes to what you can actually do with people and with miniatures and paints.
That's cool. That is really cool. I was expecting to hear. I didn't. I say I haven't. I wasn't expecting that, but there's one game system I always expect to hear from people. Oh, I've played 40K. Anything of that for yourself, or is that not? Or was that not really a thing?
No. So actually, I got some Black Templars when the limited edition thing hit, like 1.5 years ago, something like this.
Then I think it was the Indomitus box, one with the Necrons, yeah.
No, there was like a specific Black Templar box set for that particular army.
If you, yep, there you go.
Well, never mind. So I've built the stuff, and 3 months ago I've thrown it all out, set it all to eBay. I'm just gonna say I'm going nothing to do with it anymore. So there's no 40K here.
That's fair. No, that's absolutely fair. Because yeah, I mean, it's just that's the way it's up. Because obviously it's the biggest game out and about. It's one of those things. But I quite like that you said fantasy and underworlds, because fantasy is where I first had a high elf army, and underworlds I dabbled. When I say dabbled, I dabbled with, and I had a dwarf warband specifically because I wanted to paint some ginger dudes. Nothing wrong with that. I was like, oh look, they look like me. That's fine. short ginger blokes who drink too much beer. So your first models, as you say, were the Warhammer Fantasy. What about your first Legion models? What were they? Were they from the core set, I imagine, from the clones, or were they droids?
Droids.
Ah.
I was like, okay, I have to get into droids, because what I love about droids is like all their shenanigans and all their weaponry, what they can get, and all the heavy and the support pieces.
Yep.
So all the toys, and I wasn't disappointed from what I've got.
Perfect. That makes sense. And what have you done most recently related to your droid army? Is there anything that's probably? I assume it's Asajj. Am I right in thinking she's the most character that's come out? So hopefully, and then what should happen now? See, this is the first video. What should happen now is a picture of your Asajj swing along by for people, and they can go, "Ooh." You see that, Tom? That's how I go. That works. And what I imagine Tom might do is he might put little text comments at the bottom saying, "Yes, cockles, of course I did," or something like that. What's your favorite model that you've done? And I'm going to put this into, because I know this is a two-part question. What's your favorite model that you've painted, and then what's your favorite project as a whole? What's your favorite thing that you've done, not working on, done or not working? That's the separate thing.
Okay. Tricky. So I would say model, which you could also call a project, depending on the time, is the snail tank that I painted. And overall project, I'm part of the Massive Voodoo group or team here in Germany. Oh, yeah. So that's a conglomerate of painters who are all surrounded, or whose head is Roman Lepat, aka Jarhead. He's a pretty big painter. Cool. And we have October every year. And so I've painted an orc on a scenic base from Age of Sigmar. And that was like, I was trying to give everything on that specific project. And that's like the best and the most effort I've ever put into a scenic diorama project, and that's cool. Most likely my favorite.
That's cool. That's really cool. Yeah, and as much as we said about the Warhammer stuff, like it's like an orc. There's nothing. Just looking at a cool orc is fun. Even off of those, I prefer the ones from Lord of the Rings. They're slightly less green, slightly less comical, but they're just there's just something about the models on there that are really cool, that sort of thing.
I've used one of the newer ones. Those what are they called?
Pass. Not a game I play.
I
Someone.
have no idea. The sneaky orcs, and I did not paint his skin green but blue.
Ah, so he's a bit of a sun, well, not sun-kissed because they're like the green. Unique. We'll just go with unique. I was trying to think of a clever word there, but I couldn't.
No idea.
Brain escapes me. It's fine. So when you started painting and through your whole painting lifetime, what's the biggest regret that you've done? So you might have painted a model, then you completed and gone, you know what, that looked crap, or you made a mistake, or something you wish you'd done, something you would like. If I could do that again, I would do that. I'd do it this way. What sticks in your head and goes, that's something I'll do again.
Nothing.
Oh, that's well, you know what, very positive.
No. That's not what I mean. So that was actually so for all your listeners, Cockle sent me some questions beforehand.
Don't ruin the magic.
And that was the question I've been wondering most about, because I think whenever you're painting a miniature, even if you consider it a complete quote unquote fail, if you've learned something from it, you won't do that mistake again. And then it's not a mistake at all, or not a fail at all. Yeah, sure, there are things that I could have painted better, or that I would paint now better. But that's not how you should measure yourself or compare yourself, right? For sure, you're having you're advancing in your skills and stuff like that. It is okay that your things that you are painting now are better than the things you've painted a year ago. So that's totally okay, and you should never regret having painted something to the standard that you could at the time that you did.
So basically, it's a learning process. So you couldn't get to model Z without painting A, B, C, D, E, F, that sort of thing.
Exactly.
That's actually I like that as a very philosophical answer, because and I'm sure there'll be plenty of people. I think many of us can relate to that. I know I can. Like look at my first model I did, which was like, oh, even as the first Star Wars one, I'm like, oh, now. And then I look back at the more recent ones and go, oh, that's better. It's still not great, but it's better because I learned not to do X, Y, Z because of the previous stuff I did.
Yeah,
that's it. I like that. So that's a good note. It's cool. My one was just I wish I knew. I should have just read more about it or watched more. It's about the whole like thin down your paints, thin down your paints, thin down your paints. Because the first times I was doing things, even when I was a kid though, when I did behind, I was just like done on. That's not right, because it lost all the detail and that sort of thing. But that was just childlike naivety on that one. So following on from that, what would be the biggest piece of advice you would give to those who are looking to like level up their painting eye? So novices to advanced to experts to Picasso, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Go all out with your colors and be brave with your contrast. So the thing is, that even applies to me. So when you think you have enough contrast, go 20% more. Then you have enough contrast.
To qualify, right? to put a little thing, when you say contrast, you're not specifically talking about contrast paints. You're talking about the difference between the two, like so the vibrancy, that sort of thing. Yeah, just because some people might be using contrast paints and go more.
Yeah, no. So normally you're like you're starting with either in your shadows or your midtone, and then you're pushing your highlights, or you're pushing your highlights and your shadows. And there's like a range of your value that you're using, which is your value contrast, right? Your deepest shadow and your highest highlights. And normally the shadows are okay, but the highlights could be even higher in value. And then when you go that extra 10 or 20%, then the miniature starts to pop.
That makes sense. So you use for example, flesh. So if you use the darker tones and then just highlight more and then highlight again and highlight again, that sort of thing. That's just to bring the bit more the vibrancy and the contrast on, that sort of thing. What about? So I haven't touched this on the questions, but you've worked on a diorama and you're working on a major project at the moment. Have you done much in terms of making terrain and bits like that, or are you just more models, or you do split your time into both?
I would say it depends from time to time. So normally it's all models because I don't have the time.
That's fair.
But with the launch of Shatterpoint, I thought, okay, I really had this style of table that I'm planning right now in my mind for a very long time. So I thought, okay, now I'm going to take my time and really try to realize that. But then I'm not going to do terrain for, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 years.
That's fair. That's very fair. Look, I just wondered on that one. I just chucked that out as a left field question. So we've touched on it a little bit. Your what are you working on next? I've seen you were doing like a vertical project. Would you like to explain what you're doing on that one?
Yeah, sure. So the idea basically was that I wanted to present Shatterpoint at our local game store with an amazing scening board and always like terrain on it, so that people can just come in, play, and maybe even get or say, hey, what's that all about? Maybe even have the miniatures in a case so that they're ready to go and that they can try it out. So I wanted to do something that is very modular. So my idea was, okay, I'm going to create a kind of a living backdrop. So you're playing with the backdrop on your side, and all of the actual playing field is completely level. So you can rearrange the terrain as you like, but you always have this scenic backdrop on your side that you're actually not playing on, but that just makes it look very cool.
Now, there will be pictures of this that will span on, because the stuff I've seen obviously on Facebook and that has just made me go, that's really cool. I wish I had the time to do something like that. I imagine that's eating into your time.
Yeah, that was like, so I was off for work. I was on holiday for 2 weeks, and I spent almost every day in the workshop to do stuff. It's time consuming.
Do you find that a supportive / understanding or tolerant, depending on how you would like to partner, helps? So my other half, she's like, yeah, all right. She's more tolerant than encouraging, but she still is like, oh, if you're gonna do it, fine, it's fine. But she's very supportive and tolerant of it, as opposed to, you go do that and enthusiastic about it. Was your other half the same, or is she kind of, or are they like, no, you do what you need to do, that's fine, that sort of thing?
No, she's very, very supportive, and she has definitely grown into it. And she always says that she's my biggest fan.
Oh,
and
that's cute.
I'm doing like that large project. I've been doing in the workshop of my stepfather. So yeah, so basically her father. So I've used up all his space, and he's also like, he's coming down and saying, what are you doing? May I look
Tell
at
me,
it?
is he getting involved?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
He likes it.
That's really cool. I like that. That's and does she play as well? Has she played a game?
No. She says like, no, I'm not gonna bother with that.
No, not me.
That's all for you. You can paint your miniatures. I like what you do. I give you feedback. But I've never touched one of it nor played with it.
That's fair. I like that. That's really cool. I think there's probably many a wargamer who can sympathise with these things. They'll either have someone, there'll be, because my wife is not going to play, and then my mother-in-law, so her mum was very much like, oh, these are really interesting, what do you do? And I was like, and I said to my wife, I said, Danny, just imagine if your mum wants to play a game, and she says, yeah, and she was like, I will die if my mother wants to play a game of Star Wars Legion with you. This is quite funny.
Yeah, my mother-in-law and my father-in-law, they were always like, what are you exactly doing? What is it that you're playing? And they were like, and once I've tried like putting together projects, and they seen how it grows and how it all comes together. They're like, oh wow, this is pretty cool. And my father-in-law was big into model trains, so
nice.
he can relate.
That's cool. I think my other half has said that should she be in the vicinity when we have a tournament and we do the social night out, she'll be all up for that bit. But assuming it's close to home and we've got childcare for our daughter, that probably works because she'll be more into the gin and tonic than she will be the rolling of the dice. So there we go. Final couple of questions. So if you could paint anything from the Star Wars universe, what would it be and why?
A Hailfire droid.
Oh, why the hell? Why
You know,
that?
these things, rocket shooting things on huge wheels.
Yep.
Because that was like one of my most favorite designs in Clone Wars.
Yeah.
And I was always looking forward to getting this to Legion because I just love the design so much.
That cool. I feel like that's something that probably should come out. It's not because it's not a big unit, is it? It's not like the AT-ATs, etc., or anything like that.
No, I think the diameter of one of the wheels is about the size of an AT-ST.
There you go.
So it is fairly huge, but it should work.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah, that could be fun. But yeah, that thing and it pew 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 all the rockets, all that sort of stuff. That's really cool. That's fun. Any individual characters maybe at all? Or
yeah. I don't remember the name. The Spider General from Clone Wars. The Admiral.
I'll pass. I can't remember. I don't know his name. I can't remember. Tom will find it. Tom will do the picture, and then we'll both see it back and go, "Oh yeah, that." And I'm like, "Yeah,
that's the guy. That's the guy."
Yeah, I'll challenge Tom. There you go. That's about it, really. Wrapping up. Just thinking about anything else. But if you had any last minute tips and tricks for anyone, you've said about contrast and vibrancy. Is there anything final bits of advice you would give to budding, aspiring painters?
Nothing really. Just get out there, try to absorb everything that you can from other painters.
Yeah.
And try to attend workshops. They are a very good resource. They are way better than hundreds of hours on YouTube.
This is true.
Because it's hands-on training.
This is very, very true. So you're from Germany, as we've said earlier. You're from Kaiserslautern, is that correct?
Yeah, exactly.
Is there anyone you would like to put some shout outs to say thank you for inspiring me? Or, hey, if you're in Germany, come check out this store. Or anything like that going on your area, maybe some events, anything you want to plug. Now is your time.
Yeah, shout out goes to my local game store, which is called Battle Bear. So if you're ever in the vicinity, go check it out. We always have terrain to play on, and it's just an amazing store for Germany. And all the guys that play Legion with us and the tournament scene in Germany, because all the guys are really, really great.
They are. They're not that bad. I mean, there's some, we can say national rivalry. They're all right. They're fine. They come over here stealing our tournament titles and then they bugger off back to Germany. God, Finn. It's all fun. If anyone wants to contact you or look at your stuff, do you have an Instagram page?
Yes, sure. You can find me on Instagram under the nickname Kraith, just like the Wraith, but with the Q at the beginning. Links
and things will be in the. What we'll do is we'll also put links and descriptions and things in the bottom for anyone to have a little look at and all that jazz. So that's really cool. Kilian, it's been a pleasure to have you on. Thank you for being the first That's No Moon hobby chat person.
Thank you for having me.
Title, work in progress, all that sort of jazz. But yeah, it's been a pleasure. Hopefully we'll get you on another day soon. And also, are you coming over to England to play anytime soon?
I hope so, if I can manage. Time's like really short right now.
It's fair. We have, as we discussed beforehand, there are other things going on in both of our lives that take up our time at the moment, so that's cool. Kilian, thank you very much, my friend. All the best.
That's no moon.